Hello, everybody, and welcome to your webinar today. Today we are going to be talking about OneDrive, collaborating in real time. No, seriously, real time. My name is Jesse, and I am going to be your presenter for today. I just wanted to start out just by saying thank you so much for being here. I do realize that things are a little bit of a mismatch recently, of course. So I do appreciate everybody being here, and I really hope that everybody is being safe and is staying healthy out there. So we are working from home, and of course, we are getting used to a lot of new technology, like a lot of you. And so this webinar is really geared towards just helping people kind of get up and started with some new technology in terms of collaboration and that sort of thing. We do hope the webinar helps with all of your, I guess, is the uncertainty that comes with collaborating, with using OneDrive and that sort of thing. We also do have quite a few of other resources that we have put together for you. So I'm going to be showing you that kind of nearing the end of the presentation. We just have a collection of kind of free resources that you can use to help you along your way with kind of using new technology. So I did want to mention that I did want to mention that we are going completely online, which means that any of our classes that were traditionally in class are now also online. So if you do take a look at our schedule, you can definitely feel confident that when you do go and you do try to register for your classes, you can actually watch them from the comfort of your own home. This is not new for us. We've been doing this for a long time, the online presentations, and we've always offered the option to do online. It's just been recent that we've been kind of scheduling things almost exclusively online recently. Okay. So if you do have any questions, any technical questions, I will get you to direct. We do have somebody on the line. Her name is Mel, and she will be able to help you out in terms of technical questions. She's actually using a Joy Newhold's account. So if you just want to direct your questions to the Joy Newhold account, but her name is Melanie, of course. And any of the kind of OneDrive related questions, I do appreciate. I do want you definitely to speak up with your OneDrive related questions. Now, just in order to save some time, you will be able to ask all your questions. I'm going to save all the questions till the very end, and then I'm going to answer them kind of all in a block. So if you do notice that I'm not necessarily addressing them right away, that's totally cool. Just means that I am kind of, oh, sorry, let me just mute everybody again. Okay, sorry, just means that I'm not ignoring you. I'm just saving the questions to the very end. All right. And just moving on to our next slide, I just want to give a little bit of an introduction of myself. So I am definitely happy to be here as part of the JN Software and the ComputeEase team. And the biggest reason why I love it here so much is because unlike any other company I've been working for in terms of training, we are super focused on just the students of the class, just making sure everybody goes home with what they wanted to learn. So I've just been super happy working with ComputeEase because I've just noticed that the focus on just the students and making sure people learn. And of course, personally, I do also love to watch people learn. So those little light bulbs that go off in the class, of course, in the classroom setting and online, of course, I love to see those because you're going to realize how much time you save at work. And just a little bit of a fun fact about me, I am a huge coffee nerd. You will notice, especially in a lot of my classes, that most of my examples are my hypothetical, coffee company that I've got set up. So yeah, you'll notice that. And I'm also a pool player. All right, enough about me and into the JN Software and ComputeEase stuff. So just to explain a little bit about our companies here, the sister companies, they do provide services across Canada. JN Software is training, consulting, database development, and it's going to be Canada-wide, and CompuEase provides training for the Ottawa and the National Capital Region, including Quebec. We do have, on the JN software side, training online public classes with a live instructor and private online and on-site training. And I do want to emphasize live instructors. I have seen training classes that I went through that were pre-recorded. We are never pre-recorded. In fact, you might even notice a couple of little mistakes that I make along the way, and that's just a factor of me being live right now. It is a live webinar. We also do offer on the JN software side consulting and database development. CompuEase, we also do on-site public training at our downtown Ottawa training center, of course, when things go back to normal. For now, we are doing everything online. And then also private one-on-one training, either on-site or online, which is great because then you get to kind of have that more individual attention for the one-on-one training. What we both offer is fast quality customer service. We have highly skilled, experienced, and professional trainers like myself. And we have public class schedule with guaranteed to run classes that run often. We have a learn or come back free policy on all of our public classes. 24/7 after training support for all software training. And I actually can't stress this one enough. And the reason for that is because, if you're like me, after the class is done, 5 minutes after, you think, oh man, I wish I had asked this question. And in this case, you'll actually be able to ask those questions even after the training session, because we give you a little bit of a coupon to receive some after training support. And of course, we do both software and professional skills training. I know a lot of people know CompuEase and JN software for their tech training. So things like, Word, OneDrive, Adobe, Photoshop, whatever. But we also offer, professional skills training as well. Okay, so moving on to our topics that we have today. We have collaborating with Microsoft Excel. So I'm going to show you how to use OneDrive from the Excel perspective. And just keep in mind, the first one I'm going to do, the Excel one, I'm just going to do all within the web browser. So that is what I'm going to do with that. And then the PowerPoint online presentations, we're going to get a little bit away from OneDrive because PowerPoint does offer this online presentation tool, which was kind of predates the OneDrive application. But I do like to show it to you just because it's a good way to collaborate. You also have track changes with Microsoft Word, which is a third topic. So in this one, I will take it from the Microsoft Word perspective and the offline, or not offline, but the full application experience. Alrighty, so getting in touch with us, you can see it's up there. I'm going to explain that in a little bit later, but actually what I really want to do with you right now is I just want to get started into the topics that we've got for today. So let's go into our first topic, which is Microsoft Excel. One of the things that I do like to mention about this is some of the things that you'll see me are completely unrelated to OneDrive. So I will just kind of explain as I'm going through where those topics exist in some of our courses. So just keep an eye open for that because, of course, we're going to work in an Excel document just to get us started. And so there's some stuff that you'll learn on the side. So with that, I'm just going to start a timesheet. Okay, so a timesheet is a good example of when you could potentially be collaborating with other people. Maybe you have the timesheet up online and then you have your staff that are using the timesheet or something like that in Excel. But of course, you're not necessarily going to only use only use timesheets to collaborate. You have your own idea within your own businesses what you might collaborate on. So the topics here kind of apply to anything. All right, so let me just create a little timesheet really quickly. So I'm just going to start by putting in our fields. I'm going to make our fields into a table. So I'm just going to format this as a table. The formatting as a table, just so that you know where that is coming from. We actually teach that in our level 2. But basically, it's very simple. Just the format as table button and then choose your style and just make sure that your table has headers here. Once we have that timesheet created, I do want to create the drop-down menus there as well. So how to create drop-down menus in Excel, that's going to be data validation, which is a topic we cover in the Excel level 3. But anyways, it is on the data tab over here. We have data validation up here. Now, ahead of time, I actually created a few data validation lists. So this would be something that you would probably want to create ahead of time before you start with the data validation. If you want to do your drop-down menus, what's going to happen with this is anything that you see, all the values you're seeing in here, we're going to tell it to include that in the drop-down menu we're creating. Okay. So I'm just going to select where I want that drop-down menu to end up, hit data validation. I'm just going to choose a list here, and then we're going to make sure that the in-cell dropdown is checked off. That really is the drop-down menu feature here. So just make sure that's checked off, and then choose where the list is coming from. So I'm just going to select my names in this list here. Of course, you do have some other data validation options in here. You do have things like showing the input message or your error alerts. I'm just going to turn those off for now. I don't really need them, so I'll just uncheck those. And now what I've done is I've created a nice little drop-down menu for my timesheet that I've got. All right, so now I'm just going to do that a couple more times for the rest of the timesheet. And I'm just going to make sure that I turn off my input message and any error alerts because I don't necessarily want those to show up. I just really care about the drop-down menu portion. And we're just doing this a bunch of times here. Now, the next step after I've created something that I really like in here, once I've created that timesheet document that I really like, what I'm going to do is I'm going to save it up online on a shared location. So whether that be SharePoint or OneDrive, in this case we're going to be using OneDrive. You can actually share it with other people. And I'm going to show you how to do that from the web perspective, and then we'll go in doing it from the application perspective after that. Okay. Let me just finish this off here. We're almost done. Et voila, I've created this nice little drop-down list here. Oh, I forgot to format, as you can see, so we can actually format these as a date. By the way, just a little bit of trivia here. The reason why it's giving us a number instead of a date is because Microsoft Excel does format your dates as numbers in the backend. Everything, so January 1st, 1900 is actually considered day one. Day two is January 2nd, 1900, and so on. So the date that I chose is 43,925 days after January 1st, 1900. And that's just a little bit of a trivia for you. All right, let's format these ones as time. There we go. Now that's going to work for me. So now you can see your employees can use the drop-down menus to add to their timesheet. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to save this off on a web location. A couple of ways you can do it. You can either save it to your desktop and then drag and drop it onto your web location, or if you do have your account already set up, you can go over into File, Save As, and you will notice all of your cloud location accounts will show up there as long as you have your account set up within your Microsoft application. So you can see there's an account button down here. Right now, there's a bunch of connected services. So this is how it knows where to allow you to be able to save. That being said, if this is all very confusing and you just want to, save it to your desktop, really simple just to drag and drop this document into the web location, which I'll show you in just a second. I'm just going to save it to my OneDrive. I'll save it generally to the OneDrive. And I'll just call this one timesheets new, just in case there's a conflict with the old one that I had. And then click on save. Give it a quick second, and you will notice that this will be saved to that OneDrive location. Now I'm just going to close this down real quick. Actually, no, what? I'll leave this open. Oops. And let's go to our OneDrive location. Here, and give that a good old refresh. Now I had already signed into my Office 365 account and went to the OneDrive area here. So you'll just have to make sure that you are in your OneDrive area, and you can see here that it actually saved it directly into my OneDrive, called it timesheets-new, which is great. Love that. Now, the second part about this is, of course, your sharing. So I'll just show you sharing from your OneDrive account right here. So we're just going to click on the three little dots next to that Excel document. We're going to click on the share button over here, and you have a few different options on how you would like to share it. So I just went really quickly on that one. So you have the availability. So this is going to be who can see it. You can also choose a specific name, or you can send an email in Outlook, or you can just copy the link to the document. Now, it's good to note that your applications will all have a web version. So Excel, Word, PowerPoint, all of that stuff all has a web version. So if somebody doesn't necessarily have access to the Excel application or Word application, they can actually just do it all within their web browsers as well. Okay, so that's why the link is important there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose who can see it. I'm going to say specific people, and then I'm going to hit apply. I'm going to enter a name. In this case, our name is student 2. And I can add a message as well. It's important to note that once you do share something to another person, they will also get an email notification. So if you do want to add in a message, you'll see that there. And then hit save or send. Now that will have sent it, it will give it to their shared. What you're not seeing on the other end, because I've got a different computer open here, is that they have a shared folder, so something called shared here. And it's actually saying that there's nothing that's been shared with me, which is fine. But the other, my student 2 account, actually does have that document shared with me. Okay. If you do want to manage the sharing that's happening, so if you do want to manage, go into My Files, you can click on the three dots, and you can click on Details, and that will pop up the details, and then you can see who has access to the document here. So I can manage that access. I can give additional access, so it seems as though student 2 wasn't specifically added. So let's try that one more time. Grant access. There we go. Oh, for whatever reason, student 2 is not showing up in that list. They should show up in the list. Oh, specific people. Apply. Let's try that one more time. Send. All right. Now on my other computer, I should receive that link, should be able to see it, and it should be within the shared as well. There is a question that's coming for me. It says, doesn't student 2 have a login and accept before it shows they have access? Actually, if you do give them access directly, and it should show up down here, direct access, that is, the direct access area, then they should actually just see it in their shared location and be able to edit it. Either way, I found it within, it did give me a link within my Outlook. So that's kind of the backup plan there. So what I ended up doing was I just was able to click on the link. And then that was it was within Outlook. And then they were able to access, my student 2 was able to access. One thing that you will notice when you do have multiple people editing, you will notice that there is kind of a cursor going on. So you can see if you hover over that, that actually says student 2 on it. So you can see the work that student 2 is currently doing. What I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to hit the review button on my other computer, and I'm just going to add in a couple of comments, and I'm just going to add them up here. And I'm just going to say something like, for example, I don't like the colors. And I'm also going to put in another new comment over here. And I'm just going to say it should have a title, right? So this is just collaborating with the document. If I save this, should bring in all of my comments. So your comments, by the way, just for what you're seeing on the screen now, they're going to be underneath your review tab. And you can say show comments. And as you can see, students' comments are showing up on the right-hand side. Now, if you do have an older version of Microsoft Excel, this is a brand new version. This is the 365 version of Microsoft Excel. Then you won't have a pane with comments on the right-hand side. That's just for the older versions. And you'll be able to just find your comments by hitting the previous or next comment button. All right, so you can use that instead if you would like. But what's nice about this is that right now, you can see up here the people that are currently accessing it, student 2, and it's showing where they are. They're on cell D1 and so on. Yeah, and you can also see all of the work that they're doing in real time. So as I'm changing the colors of this based on the comments going on here, as I'm changing those colors, and as I'm adding a title in here, sorry, merge and center, time sheet, O'Neill Coffee Roasters. And just making it bold and, bold and underlined here. The student 2 is seeing that happen in real time. So they can actually see this document being edited as you're doing what you are doing in real time. All right. So now we're going to switch gears just a little bit. I'm actually going to go straight into the PowerPoint document for our second topic right now. And I'm just going to show you how to present online. Okay. So presenting online with PowerPoint is something that predated the OneDrive application. So I'll just show you that. But as I'm switching over, I did just want to mention that our training is always going to be with a live instructor. So that means nothing is ever pre-recorded. So anytime that you have any questions specific to your business and that sort of thing, we're always super happy to accept those types of questions. Yeah, so I just wanted to mention that, give that little mention while we switched over to our PowerPoint. So the PowerPoint is the second topic that we've got today. What I'm going to do is I'm going to modify this PowerPoint document just really quickly for you. I'm going to add in a couple tables. The tables that we've got here are in our PowerPoint Level 1 course, if you are interested in seeing how to do that. I'm going to go over it very quickly just in this presentation right now. So let's just click on the 2 slides that I've got here that do need to have our charts. We're going to add in charts into these 2 slides right here. So the first one here is going to be our team's numbers. So we're just going to bring in details. So to add in a chart is actually just about clicking on Insert Chart, or there's an Insert Chart button up at the very top. That's possible as well, either or. So I'll just click on Insert Chart. In this particular example, I do want a column chart, so I'm happy with that. And I'm also happy with the type of column that we chose, so we can actually just click on that and click on OK. And as you can see, a chart pops up. A mini version of Excel also pops up on your screen, as you can see right here. Okay, so it does give you some sample numbers so that you can kind of play around with it. Now, I've come up with a bunch of numbers that I've got by default here. So let me just copy and paste those numbers into the document. One thing you're noticing as well is you're seeing that there's the little red, blue, and purple outlines. Those are going to be just your different markers for the types of data that are going to be showing in the chart over here. If you are, I guess, curious as to what these hashtags are, they are actually just going to be just showing you that your cells are too small for the data that's in them. So a quick way of fixing that is just clicking on the little triangle between A and 1, and then double clicking between any two columns, and that will resize everything automatically for you right away. One thing I am noticing, I do like this chart here, but one thing I am noticing is I actually want the legend to be the individuals and then the weeks to be as part of the labels. So let's change that really quickly. All I have to do is I have to click on the select data. This is underneath chart tools and design, select data. And again, we go through this in a lot more detail in my PowerPoint level 1. And you can see that I've got switch rows and columns, and click on OK. And there you go. You've got your week 1, and then you've got your individuals as part of the legend down there. And I can get rid of the chart title. I don't really need that, so I'll just click on it and click delete. And we'll get rid of the PowerPoint, or sorry, the Excel. Let's do that one more time really quickly. We're going to do it for our sales trends. So again, just going through the charts, we do want a bar chart, and we'll click on OK. I've got some more data over on my second screen over here that I'm just copying and pasting into this area. In this particular case, as you can see, we actually have more sample data than we have actual data here, so I can either delete it or simply just move the little markers over, just telling it what belongs in my chart. Okay. Now, in this case, just to remove the clutter, I'm also going to delete C and D, so I'm just going to select those and right-click and delete. But you can see you can play around with the data by using the markers and the handles. And voila. Now we have this nice, complete new PowerPoint document. Now we're going to actually share it online. So to share it online, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on my slideshow button up at the very top. This does exist in older versions of PowerPoint as well, so you can definitely use it. It's underneath your slideshow button, and then present online and office presentation service. I will enable my remote viewers to download the presentation, so if they want to take a look at it on their own time later on, I can allow them to do that. And as you can see, it does give a link. I do have the option of sending it in an email, or I can just copy it. What I am going to do is I'm going to copy the link here, and I'm just going to open up a new browser so that I can post that and just show it to you from the participant's perspective as well. Right here, this is what the participant will see. It says waiting for the presentation to begin. So they are waiting for you to go in to your document and then say start presentation. Once that happens, as you can see, it kind of pops up in full screen mode, and then you can run your presentation just as you normally were, right? So that means that they can actually just see the presentation, you can present it. The only thing that I will mention about this is that your audio will not come through. So if you did want to use something like Teams, which we have training for, or another teleconferencing service, you can use that for the audio portion. This is just for what's showing in the PowerPoint presentation. As you're going through, so as you're clicking on your slides and having them go through, what the other person will see is what's happening up to date. They also have the option of skipping ahead or going back to an older slide on their own, but you'll see here that you'll get the little yellow warning message just saying that the presenter is not on your current slide, and you can click on follow presenter to kind of go back. Very last thing I like to show you in this one here is going to be that little download button at the very top right there. So the download button is going to be so that they can actually access this file, download it locally onto their computer, and they can access it after the presentation is done. Only last thing that I have to show you here is once you are happy with your presentation, you can end your presentation. Oops. So you can click to exit, and that's going to end the presentation. The only thing you do have to make sure you're doing is you have to end your online presentation. All right. And just a reminder, I am answering questions just after, so I do appreciate the questions coming through, but I will definitely answer them after the presentation is done. Alrighty, so the last little portion about this that we're going to talk about today is going to be just a Word document. So I'm just going to get started up from scratch with the Word document. Let me just switch over, but just as I'm switching over, I do like to just reiterate that we do have the 24/7 training support. So if you do have questions, right after the training is done, you are not left in the dark. You definitely will be able to contact us, and we will provide that after training support right there for you. Alrighty, so this third example is going to be just for creating a brand new, we're going to create a marketing plan, right? It'll just be the outline first, right? So we're just going to create that outline, and then once we create the outline, we're going to share it online so other people can collaborate with us, right? And they can kind of add to that outline and add some content. So just quickly to add in an outline, very simple. All you have to do is you have to go to your view. You have to change it to the outline view here. And I've got an outline already created, so I can just copy and paste that outline. So I'm just going to copy and paste the outline. By default, you can see the outline level is level 1, meaning that your everything will be at the same level and will have that same heading. These outline levels, by the way, they do relate to your styles that you have. So if you've ever seen the styles where it says heading 1, heading 2, which I'll show you in just a second, that's what these outline levels, the level 1s, relate to. Okay, so just for ease of use, I actually added in some tabs in here just to show myself where the outline levels were. So what we're going to do is we're going to change these to the different correct levels. So this is going to be level 2. This will be our level 3. This is level 1. These are going to be level 2. This is level 1. These are going to be level 2. And finally, this last one is going to be our level 3. And there we go. Now we've got the outline levels exactly the way we want them, but we've got those pesky tabs that I added in manually just to make my life a little bit easier for presenting. So what you can do is you can actually just do a really simple find and replace. So just hit the Control F on your keyboard for the find, and then the replace is actually underneath the little down arrow here. So you can click on the down arrow and then replace. And the tabs, if you want to find tabs, it's actually really simple. You have to use a little bit of a code, but it's the upward pointing arrow, which is above your 6 on your keyboard, and then T. And that is what denotes a tab. Now we want to replace that with nothing. We just want to delete it. So we can just say replace our tabs with nothing, hit replace all. It says we made 26 replacements. That's great. And we'll close that off and close off our navigation pane. There we go. We've created this nice little outline that people can add the content to. So we'll close our outline view. And as you can see, the stuff that was marked as level 1, our heading 1 up here, that style, level 2, our heading 2, and level 3, That's not showing it right now, but heading 3 is not there. If ever your styles are not in the list that you're seeing here, you can actually find all of them just by clicking on the little down arrow. That will show you all of your styles. And actually, I'm not even seeing a heading 3. But either way, it is in there somewhere. We would just have to add it to the list. Okay, now the real part about this. This is where we actually get to share it. Okay, so just again, making sure that you're saving it to a online application. So whether that be OneDrive or to your SharePoint. So let's just file, save as. I'm going to save it to student one account, the OneDrive account. And we're just going to call this one marketing plan. And this is, of course, a draft, so I'll just put in draft. Save. Voila, that's been saved. I showed you before how to share things within your OneDrive application, but we can actually share them from directly within the Word document or the PowerPoint or Excel, whatever it happens to be. So you can actually click on the little share button up at the very top right once it's been saved to the OneDrive location. One thing that I do like to point out as well is if it is saved to a cloud location like OneDrive or SharePoint, you can see up here there's an autosave feature that's turned on. Why that's super important is because when you are saving it and collaborating on it in a shared location, you do want those changes to be pushed up to the OneDrive server as soon as possible. So you do want that autosave on if it can work. I mean, it does take some computing power for that to work, but if it is slowing down your computer, well, then you might have to make other plans and just save it yourself manually quite often. But the autosave, what that's going to do is it's going to push all your changes up really quickly to the OneDrive or the SharePoint location so that other people working on it will see your changes almost in real time. So let's click on the share button over here. It brings up a very similar dialog box once that does happen. I've got right now anyone with a link. I'm going to choose specific people once more. Yeah. The only thing with the anyone with the link is you also get to set an expiration date and you also get to set a password there. So those are two very nice features that you can use with anyone with the link. So why not just show that? I'll just show that for now. We'll hit apply. I am going to specify student 2 once more just to make sure that they get notified with an email. And then I will click on the send button here. And now what's going to happen is that your student 2 will receive that email link and they should see it in their shared area as well. So then they can open that document, they can work on it in real time, and they can also work on it within the web application or on their desktop application. Doesn't really matter. As you can see here, my student 2 is currently in there, and my student 2 can start adding in content. And as you can see, I'm not making any changes. Student 2 is making changes, and it's happening quite literally in real time up there. One thing that is important, though, especially with Microsoft Word, they have this nice, very robust, they have a very robust track changes feature. So to add that on, just a matter of going into your view, so your review, and you can see there's a track changes. So you can either just turn it on, which allows people to turn it off. So you don't necessarily want to do that, especially if you've got quite a large team. But if you've got quite a large team, you can actually lock the lock the tracking, which means that they won't have the ability to turn track changes off. So let's just put in the password here. Oops. It's test for now. And now the track changes has happened. Oops. You can see I put in test in the wrong area here. So I did delete test. You can see what that track changes does. It does show you all of the changes that are happening in the document. And then if you do make changes like adding additional content, it does show you all of the changes that were being made. You can see there's a little bar on the left-hand side and that sort of thing. So that is what your track changes is going to do. Anybody making those changes on this computer or on their computer, whatever it happened to be, will also be forced to have that in there. One of the important things that I like to point out about your track changes is that you don't have to necessarily have just this view, because this does get very confusing. As you can see, I put in test and then I deleted test there. So that does get very confusing to look at. So you can change between different views, even if track changes is permanently on. So you can change between all markup, which is showing you all the stuff that was added or removed, to just your simple markup. So then it would just give you like a little bar on the left-hand side showing you that changes were made. You can also change to no markup, which just means it's going to show you nothing. Track changes are still there. They're just happening in the background. And then finally, you can also go to the original, which is just going to show you everything that was there before track changes was turned on. Of course, to accept the changes, to create a new baseline for those changes, you are just going to go to your all markup, and then you can go and hit the previous and next for all of those changes, and then you can accept or reject. Again, those permissions happening right now are just because my track changes are forced to be on, so I can actually turn the track changes off to be able to accept, or sorry, turn the forcing of the track changes off to be able to accept or reject those changes. Alrighty, so we're pretty well at the end of time. I am actually going to go looking through all of those questions, but as you're thinking about the questions, I do just have a couple of promotional things to go through. So let me just go over to my website that we have up here. Just I wanted to show you, first of all, some tools that you have at your disposal to learn some more stuff on your own, as well as the mostly just the tools and the course list that we've got going on. So if you do want, this is a really good time just to type in your questions into that chat box, and then I'll go through one by one and answer them right after this. So first of all, compuease.ca is our website, and jnsoftware.ca is JN Software's website. And you can see at the very top right of that website, a lot of our resources are there. So if you do need to contact us, you can see our phone number and our email address. We also do have some free resources for you. You already know about the free webinars because you've already clicked on that one and registered, as you can see here. We also have a blog, which has a bunch of really good tips in it. And we also have a YouTube channel, which has a bunch of really good tips in it as well. Those are mostly written by my colleague, Christine, and she is excellent. Absolutely love her tips. If you're curious as to what we train on, there is a course list here. Same thing is true on the JN Software. So you can see there's a blog, there's free webinars here. We also have a YouTube channel and some social media going on, and our contact information, right? We do have up at the very top training resources. So you can click into this link to get to the training resources. Or we also have just our courses that we're offering right here. And if you click on that course list, it's going to bring up an entire course list, and you can go in to the ones that you are interested in. For example, maybe Microsoft 365, and it will give you, for the most part, it will give you your kind of goals for the course. You also have the next class happening. By the way, this one here, the Microsoft 365, is offered at $350. If you do mention when you are talking to us and registering for the course that Jesse is the best, we will offer a discount. So we'll offer that for $300. We'll discount some off of that. And you can also go into the full outline just by clicking on the full outline there. And it will show you everything to do with that course, so you can see and make sure that the topics that are covered are something that you actually want to learn. Alrighty. Also, we just have, the course list. This is our course list from our CompuEase perspective. And you've also got a calendar and a list view of when things are coming up. Over to our free materials that we're giving, we do have that YouTube channel. So you can see if you click on if you go into the YouTube channel and click on videos, the last YouTube video that we did upload was using Loom. So Loom is a video recording tool that we've got. It's very easy to use and it's free, which means that you can just create, videos for promotional materials, or you can create, your own job aids or any video content for your screen or your video. And this is just a quick overview of how to do that. But there's a bunch more tips here that you can kind of browse, view, and look at. On our blog, you can see we do have a bunch of different blog. So using Loom is one of them. But one of the things that I do like to point out is these training resources. So you can click on that. The same thing is up at the very top. The blog article and this link are the same thing, and they will bring you to the training resources blog article, which is just a collection of everything that we've been putting together to help people that are working from home these days. And you can take a browse through. Very last thing is that free webinar button at the very top right. So right now we are currently going through the OneDrive webinar. You can see the ones coming up are going to be removing the confusion of Office 365, where I like to go through kind of the different tools, giving you an overview of what they do in case you are curious, just because there are a lot of 365 tools. And we also have some Teams coming up, and we also have some database webinars coming up as well. Alrighty, just transitioning back so that I look through all of the questions. So I do appreciate any and all questions coming through. So first question was about just having this video or this webinar being broadcasted to them afterwards, just that people can watch it afterwards. And yes, absolutely. We are going to this is being recorded as we speak, so you can definitely watch it later. So anybody that was registered, we will send out the link to this webinar, to the video, and you can watch it at your own leisure and follow along with some of the pieces that I was mentioning today. The other question here is, what if we didn't want them to be able to download the presentation? Okay, so I did go over that, but I went over it very quickly, so I apologize. So if you want to be able to start this presentation but not allow the participants to be able to download it, it's just here. So you can see that you can present online here. And it's the little checkbox, enable remote viewers to download the presentation. As you can see, by default, it is turned off. So just make sure that that checkbox is turned off. All right. No problem. Alrighty, and that actually pretty well ends the ones that are there at the moment. I am going to stick on. We do have a few more minutes so that you can ask any and all of your questions. So I'll stick on. I'll just make sure that everybody gets their questions through. But just as we are waiting for those questions to come in, I do just like to mention that our training sessions are guaranteed to run, which means that if you do not have, or if there is just one person registered to a course, a lot of our competitors, they actually cancel those courses because there's not enough people registered. Any of our public classes, we always keep, which means that even if you're the only one in there, we're still going to run it, meaning we do recognize that people do need to learn when they need to learn and not necessarily on our schedule. All right. Okay, perfect. Alrighty, everybody. So it's looking like there's a lot of thank yous coming through, and we're hitting kind of the end of our time anyways. So I do appreciate you all being here. Thank you so much. And until next time, we do have the other webinars coming up, so feel free to register for those, the ones that interest you. And I really hope everybody's staying safe out there and staying healthy. I really appreciate you being here today. Thanks, everybody.